Outnumbered overtime. OT, baby.
Woo.
Did I mention Steve?
She loves her overtime.
Sandra says to Steve as we're wrapping up the show, should I mention that Harris loves overtime? The other thing, too, I mean, the highlight of the show for me, and I know we talked about a whole host of things, you asked me about the color wheel.
Oh, yes.
We have a shout-out.
So that you know.
The only thing that makes Harris more excited about overtime is the color wheel in overtime.
We are not.
Oh, wait, why is this?
I don't really listen to the color. I try to, and so it's a sensitive subject. I think I'm supposed to be in like powder blue or baby blue.
This is close.
So they literally
this
assign
is great.
I'm nervous for an hour before I get it every Sunday.
Brittany, our college associate, can we take a minute to thank Brittany for all of her hard work? And
is she here? Where is Brittany?
She's in the control room, so she can see and hear us. Also, thank you so much for working with this wonderful team. We've been honored to have you.
Absolutely. And the best in everything that your new adventures are going to bring you. And if you want to stop down in the next 6 minutes, you know, we'll love on you in person.
Wait, Harris,
Take a
now
picture.
I'm curious. What's the update with the color wheel?
Okay, so
Abby, come on.
I have a book
Sandra, you can just relax
that has pictures
now.
of everybody's dresses in it. And I update the color Bible
Everybody's
as I
but
call
mine
it.
because I
No, that's not true. I do screenshots of you off the air.
They literally ask you for
Girl,
pictures
you
of
know
all
I'm
your
going to get
dresses.
every squirrel gets a nut. You know I'm going to get my nut. Yeah, if I can't come to your office and snap, I just take you right off the screen.
Lord
find
Almighty.
a way. Find a way.
This is breaking news,
Oh,
people.
goodness. And Steve looks confused now because we had an hour of like really deep, intense political and news talk and some breaking information that came out of that event with the president that was going on right before us. And now we're talking colors of things that we wear. So let's get to it. By the way, that pink, that is fabulous.
Well, thank you. I
Did your daughters pick it out or your wife?
No, my wife. My wife had it made for me, thankfully. So
Really?
yes.
I
A little
like
summertime.
her taste.
Like it.
So I want to give you an opportunity, though, to revisit one of the things that was at the end of the TV version of us, and that was this idea that the NAACP in Missouri is telling people not to travel there if they're people of color.
Right. And listen, again, I don't know enough about the law, and I'm not a lawyer, to say do they have a real grievance. If they do, though, I don't know that grievance about tort reform, about changing discrimination laws, is enough to say don't travel to Missouri. I think that's really an overreach. But what I'd say more broadly that I think is important, and I say this as a Chicagoan, I've lived in Chicago for 20 years, raised a family in the city. I'm frankly pretty scared about how things are going in Chicago on the fiscal side, but more importantly on the crime side. And it's been bad for a while, but it's getting worse.
They're not disconnected.
Right. Well, of course we're not disconnected. But here's my main point. About any African-American activist group, about any of us, I think being way more concerned about the welfare of black children, of black young people in a place like Chicago who can't play at a playground safely, black men who are dying by the scores, I think that is a far, far more pressing issue. Not that the Missouri issue doesn't matter, but I think that's what really matters. There's a slaughter going on the west side of Chicago. It's outrageous that it's happening. Chicago is the most dangerous city in the Western world. And I don't think that's even debatable. And we've got to talk about why, and we've got to talk about solutions.
Now this current president talked about that on the campaign trail. And it wasn't just to be able to point to, former Barack Obama voters and others on the left. He was saying we have a critical point, a critical mass point in a place where the economy is so important, as it is across America, but the Chicago Board of Trade. I mean, he said this place is devolving into a place that's dangerous. But here's what's interesting, and Sandra just said it. The issues are closely related, which is why the NAACP, I would imagine, knows that you can punch an economy if you can tie crime to how people are treated in businesses.
Right. And to that point, in Chicago right now, University of Illinois Chicago recently did a study. Black men aged 20 to 25, 47% of them, almost half, are neither employed nor in school. Now, if you're a 22-year-old man and you're not in school or working, what the heck are you up to?
And then
nothing good.
And look what the mayor of Chicago is doing to the city, like tripling down as far as, people are, I think it was Wall Street Journal front page a couple months ago, people are fleeing the city of Chicago at a record pace. Meanwhile, he's like tripling property taxes on anybody who's actually still there.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
Which can become a vicious cycle because what happens, people leave, particularly people with options, mainly
So how do
wealthy
people
people.
afford that?
Well, they can't.
More
and
keep
they're
leaving.
And they have to do that because they need I would imagine, the resources to go to those police departments
and
to keep the rest of the citizens.
It's also
and
tough
even more
to
so, it's for pensions, unfortunately. I wish it were for better policing. It's for pensions. But no, as an example of that, you can actually track this, U-Haul routes. A U-Haul route from Illinois to Texas is twice as expensive, or even 3 times sometimes, as the return.
Tell me
in other words, everybody's moving to Texas. Nobody's moving the other way. Nobody's leaving Texas.
No, why would you?
A red successful state and going to Illinois.
So I want to get back, and I know we're a little bit off topic in terms of politics today, but this is fascinating to me because I thought naively, I guess, that the money was going back into making the area safer. I mean, you've got a mayor in Rahm Emanuel who wants it to be a sanctuary city with the highest crime rates in the country. So I'm just trying to understand and make
the
it all
amount
work.
of time that the Mayor Emanuel reinforces how safe you are if you want to come as an illegal immigrant to the city versus reassuring residents,
versus a native-born
working
black
residents.
teenager. By the way, he lives down the street from me, so this is a very personal issue
Steve,
to me.
then where is he coming from? To Harris's point, if you're trying to get in the mindset of Rahm Emanuel, who obviously thinks he's doing a good job, and whatever he says, he believes in, right? So if you get into his way of thinking, where is he coming from? Why do you think he feels that this is a good thing for Chicago and where it's going?
Gosh, Abby, that's a great question, and I don't know, honestly, because I don't know how he could rationally explain it, other than just, I hate to impugn motives because I hate when the left does that to us, but I don't think there's a rational explanation here, so it has to be just pure power. Just as long as he maintains power, he frankly doesn't care what the implications are for the community. But I was mentioning he lives down the street from me. He has 24-hour police protection provided by the taxpayer, so he has plenty of sanctuary, right? But when he talks about, I even hate that term, sanctuary cities, because it's not sanctuary for the cops or for the residents who have to deal with known dangerous people who are allowed.
And for me, that's not
hide
even
in
about
plain sight.
politics. I hate how it's like, the Democrats are more for sanctuary cities, Republicans are not, because when you look at sanctuary cities and when you're talking about really reporting an illegal here that is causing problems, who is committing crimes, that's just common sense. Right. At the end of the day, I mean, I hate how politics oftentimes gets in the way of what should just be rational thinking, right? Harris, I would wonder your thoughts before we go, because you said that you've spent a number of years living in Kansas City, Missouri. What are you hearing from people that live there? What are they telling you about how they feel?
Well, okay, so let's take this separate. Let's talk about the issue of the businesses and the discrimination and how much easier it is to sue for racial discrimination. Not necessarily put our legal hats on that for that, but let's just talk about that as a separate issue. Set that aside. The criminal element that you're talking about that we want to get rid of in places like Missouri and Chicago, you can talk about giving some of these people jobs and but that history has existed before now. And changing whether or not somebody can sue because they think their boss racially discriminated against them is a far distance, I would imagine, legally than trying to crack down the people who are making Missouri an unsafe place for anybody, whether you're white, black, whatever. So when you send out this message, if you're a person of color, don't come to this state, what are you going to do when the law doesn't change on the books? Are people going to stay out of Missouri forever? And what are you going to do when that begins to hurt your economy? Right. Like, don't you think you need to, if you really think that this is an unsafe place in terms of broader crime, because remember the intro that I read wasn't just about this racial discrimination legal standpoint, it was about the broader crime in all of Missouri. And look, the east side of St. Louis, that looked like Compton for a very long time. Some people say it still does. Remember when they wouldn't pick up the trash?
Yes, and now more and more people are pushing more and more, further out into these new suburbs because people are just, a lot of people still live in St. Louis. My mom grew up in the city, but more and more people now are just leaving.
So, Steve, living so close to Wrigley Field, you are a Cubs fan.
I'm actually a White Sox fan.
Whoa,
my kids I grew up on the South Side, live right near Wrigley.
Lord Almighty.
The kids are all Cubs fans, of course.
I don't know the difference.
After last year's World Series.
Well, the White Sox are on the south side of Chicago, and the fans tend to come from there, so that makes sense. But
we haven't had anywhere near the success of the Cubs.
I was going to say, but that's not the popular one to be on.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, good for you, though.
Now I know why I wasn't as familiar with the White Sox as I was with the Cubs.
Nobody is.
And another baseball news, I went to my first Yankees game this week. I went to Yankee Stadium for the first time.
I saw that on your Instagram. It was beautiful with Guy Benson.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys.
Megan.
Guess who took Harris to her first Major League Baseball game?
You know what?
Let
me tell you.
And we went in style.
We did go in
Yankees
style.
or Mets?
New York Yankees. Did you not know the answer to that?
Yeah, but you were talking. You said style. Let me tell you, when I got hungry, we had like this whole place to go to, and
fun.
we sat like
beer and a hot dog.
The seats were amazing.
Ooh, I want to go with you guys.
So you're a White Sox fan?
You want to hang out with this one?
We were
Bears are what I
very
really care
top
about,
row,
though. I'm
literally
Bears.
the
Go
top
Bears.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Sanders
baby.
seats, boy, they were good.
We're
Yeah, I
mine.
mean, I am ignorant to baseball, but I knew the difference between the Mets and the Yankees. We'll see.
Hilarious.
Tomorrow. It was great to have you.
Thank you.